Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now we are going to continue with our top 5 last update. You know, we're looking at the last update, and we're looking at the best tanks, the worst tanks, the highest average damage tanks. And this video, we're going to look at the lowest average damage tanks. So the tier 10 tanks that cause the least amount of damage. Now, coming in at number 5 is the Object 260. Now, this is averaging 1,770 average damage. So not too bad for the average kind of player and for what it is, but yeah, it is the 5th lowest average damage tank in tier 10 at the moment, and the tank could be better. I'm not gonna lie, it could be better. I still sometimes do enjoy it, to be fair. Like, it's not a really bad tank, but it's not like a fantastic tank. The DPM, I think, is very good, and even though it's not the best of tanks, I'm still surprised to see it in the bottom, to be fair, because like I said, the DPM is pretty good for a heavy tank. Now, this is in fact the only heavy in this list. So what is tank number 4? Let's move on to the next tank. Next tank is the Vickas. Yes, the Vickas Light, coming in at 1,760. And I've just made a mistake where I just said the Object 260 is the only heavy in the list. Yeah, ignore that. There is another heavy tank. But the Vickas, you know what? I'm actually surprised this is in the bottom of the list, coming in at number 4, 1,760, which is just 10 less than the Object 260, and it's actually 10 more than the next tank we are going to look at in the list. But I enjoy this tank. I think, you know, for a light tank, it's decent DPM for what it is. Yes, there are probably better light tanks out there, but yeah, I'm surprised that most tanks in this list, do you know, all of the tanks, actually, all these top 5s, I'm actually very surprised that these are the lowest average win rate tanks in tier 10. Like, very surprised. And the Vickas, well, the Vickas is no exception. You know, I'm surprised. This again, as I've said, it's not like the best of tanks, but it's still a tank that can cause damage, and it's still a tank that can cause nuisance to the enemy team. You know, you've got decent DPM for a light tank. And yeah, I'm very surprised at seeing this tank in the list. I enjoy the tank. I think the tank, like I said, it is different to most other light tanks out there, which is what I like about tier 10. All the light tanks are pretty much different. You've got an auto-loader, you've got a derp gun, you've got one that with just crazy or really good DPM, and then you have this one. So yeah, they're all different. You know, all the light tanks are different in tier 10. Just because they're light tanks, it doesn't mean that they can't do damage. And yeah, so I'm definitely very surprised that this is coming in at number 4. So what tank is coming in at number 3? And we have another light tank, the T100, 1,750, which again is 10 less than the Vickas. And again, I'm very surprised about this, because this tank really has good DPM. It's crazy DPM, but obviously people are not performing as well in this, or not. It's not that they're not performing well, but they're just not doing as much damage in this than they are other light tanks in tier 10. You know, the back chat, I was, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the back chat was here, because it is an auto loader. It is quite weak when it comes to armor, and if you miss sort of your magazine, or if you bounce some shots, the DPM is quite low, and you could get wrecked. Where this is, you know, 3,500 or so DPM. It's crazy DPM. So just sort of 30 seconds, you can do crazy DPM. So yeah, I'm very surprised that this is actually in the top 3 tanks for the lowest average damage in tier 10. Very, very surprised indeed. So what then is, let's move on to tank number 2. And we have the Object 140, the only medium tank in this list. Now, I am surprised that this is here, because again, it's got great DPM and it can be a very, very good tank. But when it comes to Russian mediums, I'm not surprised that this is further down. But when it comes to actual mediums, you know, I thought there would be other tanks in this list, like the 121B, maybe even the AMX-30B, but at the moment the AMX-30B is actually doing really, really well. You've also got tanks like the M60, tanks like that I would have thought would be lower than the Object 140. People still love the 140. It annoys me that the T62 gets changed so much and the Object 140 has kind of been just left. Pretty much left for dead. Doesn't really change too much, but it can still be a fun tank, and it can still be a tank that causes damage. Any tank with a 3,500 DPM can cause damage. So yeah, definitely surprised at this being tank number 2. I thought there would be maybe some of the other mediums that would be below this tank, but clearly not. Stats there, the stats are there for everybody to see. And this is clearly the lowest average damage when it comes to medium tanks. You know, it's the out of all the medium tanks in tier 10, this is the lowest, and the stats are there for everybody to see. But when you look at the win rate, however, this isn't performing that bad. You know, it's not down there in the bottom, and it's doing okay. But yeah, so people are winning, but they're just not doing damage. They're not doing damage in this tank, and it is a shame, because they should be. With a tank with as much DPM as this, it should be there doing damage. So what is then the lowest average damage tank in tier 10? It's the IS-4. Yeah, it is the IS-4. Again, I am surprised at this. It's a strong tank. Obviously, it's not as strong as it once was. And looking at the tank now compared to sort of a few years ago, this would be the number one tank for me that I would always recommend to people to go to, especially if they are sort of new to the game. I'd always recommend, if you haven't got a tier 10 yet, go grind the IS-4, because it was a great starter tank. It taught you a lot, and because of the armor profile, because the fact that you can side scrape, the speed's okay, the DPM's okay for what it is. You know, it allows you to make mistakes, but it also allows you to deal damage. So to see this at the bottom of the list, the lowest win rate, the lowest average tank in tier 10, and it's a heavy tank, I'm very, very surprised about that. You know, the IS-4. Obviously, as I've said, it's not the tank it once was, but I would have still thought it's a tank that can get out there, that can do damage very, very easily. Like, even here, I haven't tried. Yes, I'm a one-shot, but I've still bounced 1,200 damage, and I know I haven't got the damage yet. I'm still, well, I've just gone above the average damage. So, yeah, I'm very, very surprised that this tank is pretty much the worst tank for damage. So, obviously, if you do go by stats, clearly these tanks are not for you if you want to up your average damage. If you want to up your average damage, go look at my other tank where my other video where we look at the highest average damage tanks for the last update. Of course, this is all done by update. So the next update, this could actually be the highest average damage tank in the game. Who knows? And we have to wait and see. But let me know in the comments, are you surprised at any of these tanks in this list? Because personally, I am surprised at every single one of them. So for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye.